Okay. Do. Alrighty, we're just barely getting started. So, felt like there's something in my throat. Excuse me. Okay. Now I am gonna go live over here. Get my earphones in. welcome in, everyone who is just getting here. We're just getting started for the day. Looks like we might already have our first opposition up. Wow, that was fast. Hello, how are you? All good? Take your time. Hey, how are you? Can you hear me okay? Alrighty, awesome. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns, please? MH20 him. Awesome. And then what did he want to talk about? What do you mean? He has hazel eyes. Know what? Maybe he has like some kind of inner demon and he just saw you and was like, "Oh, that's my next meal right there." Okay, you don't think that trans women are women? Why so? Okay, what does it take to be qualified as a woman? Okay, where are you getting the source? Yeah, so you're saying it has to be at birth, correct? Yeah. I would say that trans women would also be able to evolve into that, but if you're going to have such a biological necessity on that and saying that a trans woman has to be a female, I can still argue that transgender women at least postoperatively absolutely can become females. Oh, so it's based on chromosomes? Yeah, I'd agree that it's going to be based on your complete biology, because, and this is coming from a medical journal that is going to define sex as being a multi-dimensional construct based off of a cluster of traits. S- Well, this is literally coming from a medical journal, so right now you're just denying science. Yeah, no, you'd have to prove that these people have a political bias to them and that they're not looking for the best healthcare out there. So, what? No, it's not confirmation bias. It's actually medical consensus, and this isn't just the only medical textbook that says it. I've got two medical textbooks on hand, and then also this is how it's applied into the real world. And the purpose of science and medicine is supposed to enhance and improve a person's quality of life, of which this is going to go not only just for cisgender people, but also for people with DSC conditions, as well as transgender people. And so, with that being said, that's ultimately what the main goal of all of this is. And again, how the field of science and medicine is going to identify it is it going to be as a multidimensional construct, meaning that it's not just going to be just one thing that is going to create your sex. It is going to be, think of it kind of like a puzzle. There's a whole bunch of puzzle pieces. Let me finish my statement. So it's a whole bunch of puzzle pieces that come together, and then the cluster being the majority of the pieces that come together is then going to identify you as being male or female, and that within the medical journal as well, it also directly states that some of these traits can be changed or altered over time. Thus, hence, if the majority of those traits are changed and altered to the point to where you no longer denote the male sex, but rather you denote the female sex, you will therefore be considered female. You can't just say, nah, I'm gonna need a source for that, because I'm literally giving you this coming directly from a medical journal. And I can also show you this within yeah, facts don't care about your feelings. Your opinion is a feeling. So again, I'm gonna need facts. Says who? Says who? Says who? Yeah, because science and medicine evolves. And did you know that way back then they used to treat people with mental who had like autism or depression or anything like that. They used to see it as a um no, it's not a self-affirming science. It's literally tell me, what is the purpose of science and medicine? Nope. Nope. All my sources are going to be backed up from the NIH, from .edu, .gov sources that are going. Can you give me a source on that? No, you made a positive claim. Burden of proof is on you. No, I actually have looked into it. I can't find anything that says that. You can maybe argue. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Please do. Yeah, I don't rely on a search engine. Google's a search engine. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone's doing great. We're already off to a fantastic debate to start off the day. Also, we are currently only at 500 with that top left number. If we can get tapping on that screen and getting that going up, that would be fantastic. And then also with that bottom left number, keep that going up as well. We're in for a fun day today. We are currently waiting on our guests to come on up. And Sophie, yes, I will bring you up once we are at 1.5K. Let's also get this going out to more people. Oh, Milo, not right now, mister. So, to make it clear for everyone for what our guest is looking for right now, is he's finding a source that is going to say that transgender people are going to be mentally ill. Of which, if he wanted to make the argument that gender dysphoria would be a mental illness, I can see that. But even then, it's actually considered more of a stress based condition. This is based off of the ICD 10 and ICD 11 manuals. So it's a huge failure on his point, and I'm looking forward to see where he's gonna get this source from. I'm willing to bet it's either going to come from a .com or .org, not a .edu, .gov website. And if it is going to be a .gov, most likely it's going to have a direct political tie to it. So looking forward to this. Okay. Can I get the PMID, please? Wait, where's the PMID? I want the PMID. Yeah, I get CNIH. I want to pull up the full study though, so I can look at it as well, not just the cherry picked. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. And then also, I think I understand. I think I actually may have read that before. I will actually agree with that, but I'm pretty sure if we read further into the study, of which I'm looking forward to getting the full PMID from you here in a sec. Um, it's going to talk about a lot of it being due to societal and social stigma, due to stuff like that. No, I would say that is a false comparison. So with that being said, we're looking at two different demographics. And nope, I'm not just saying that. I'm actually providing you a explanation for it. So give me a sec. I appreciate that. Wait, it's not being affirmed for their incongruity though. Wait, no. Yeah, and I already apologized for that. You provide me a PMID. I absolutely love that. I literally just said that. I literally just said that. You're being disingenuous now. Yeah, well, give me a sec. Give me a sec. Host? Uh, yeah, I would say so, but again, yeah, because there's going to be different reasons for that. And so again, I would definitely think that's something to look more into, but when it comes to transgender people, it literally will give a explanation for why that is, of which is again is going to be due to that societal stigma, the discrimination, being raised in religious conservative households, stuff like that. You're just saying that now. Yeah, you also said that they're being affirmed in their mental illness, of which you didn't get. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Wait. So, tell me what the mental illness is. Tell me within the study what is the mental illness, and are they being affirmed in their anxiety and depression? Yes or no? No, that's you misrepresenting the study now. Good job. You're misrepresenting the study. So, nope, give me a sec. Everyone, I've got this. This is actually kind of funny. Okay, so, nope, nope. So, yeah, are you gonna run? Are you gonna run? Because you're about to be called out. MH? Yeah, MH. I already granted you that you did a good job bringing me a PMID. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, so you're gish galloping. You're trying to get away from what I'm about to call you out on. Can so are they being affirmed in having anxiety, depression, PTSD, CPTSD? Give me a sec. Oh, dude. Okay. Nope, stop. Okay, everyone stop. Everyone stop. Everyone stop. Okay. MH. Oh, there's a crash out. Man, can okay. And yes, that is correct. So what I was gonna say is that even if that was to be the case, they're not being affirmed in having anxiety, depression, PTSD, CPTSD. Those are all seen as issues right there that need to be taken care of. So with that being said, they're not going to affirm those mental illnesses. And nowhere in that did it say that being transgender was a mental illness. That is where he is misrepresenting the study. And if he would have stopped crashing out, if he would have stopped steamrolling, and if I could have actually finished my statement, that would have been clear. But he knew I was about to call him out on that. So that's where he started steamrolling. That is where he knew that his line of logic was going to fall apart because I don't cherry pick. And I have seen studies where again a little bit of truth is going to be in that, but where he misrepresented the study was saying that we're affirming those so-called mental illnesses. No, that is incorrect. In fact, we know the cause of those mental disparities, those comorbidities. So with that being said, we're going to do our best to address the root of the issue. And then also, we're going to be advocating for more and more better mental health care and stuff like that going out. So that is where he's misrepresenting it. But nowhere within the study did it say that being transgender within itself is a mental illness. That is where he was overstating what was in the study. And even from the study that he pulled up, Sophie already covered that pretty well. So yeah, L guest. Hi, no room for troons. How are you? Or does anyone know what that means? Okay. Well, we'll just say no room. I'm not gonna use the last name. Okay, no room. How are you? Oh, that's right. We were talking about legislation. That's not about what this panel is about right now. Okay. Real quick before we continue, we're gonna put a quick pause. We currently have 12 people in here right now. Thank you everyone who is here. If we can keep that top left number going up, let's aim to let's aim for about 8K. If we can get there, that would be fantastic. And also, if we can be sharing this stream out, getting this out, share this with your family, your friends, loved ones, your bigoted family members like your transphobic aunt and uncle. That would be fantastic. And if we can do that, will be great. And then also a couple shout outs. Thank you, Evil666 for the heart me. Thank you, Angel for the heart me. Thank you, Jack Ash for the heart me. Thank you, Liz for the heart me. Jack Ash also for the roses, and also Liz for the roses. Thank you, thank you, thank you so so much. With that being said, we're going to get back on with the show. So, guess you were about to respond to Angel. Okay. So, just to clarify, would that at the very least include transgender people who are female? Alrighty, awesome. And again, I don't think we're necessarily advocating for the elimination of the categories. I will say I am a intersectional radical feminist, so I do think we should be getting rid of things like gendered stereotypes, gendered roles, gender expectations, stuff like that. So I can definitely get on board right there. And then also when it comes to safe spaces, my big question, whenever it comes down to the legal argument, is how are you actually going to enforce this? Like, how are we going to enforce people based off of what they're based off of what is in between their legs without putting a security guard or person at every single door or having some kind of hum, hum, what's the word I'm looking for? Invasiveness in it. And so that's the one thing because I definitely agree. Everyone deserves a place for safety and privacy, but it's ultimately going to come down to how are we going to enforce that? Because I would say that the system we have right now is pretty decent. Is it perfect? Absolutely far from. Far, far, far from. But what we can do is we can be advocating for harsher punishments for those who violate the law and for better some safeguards, better like stalls, locks, getting rid of the gap issue we have here in the US. Like that right there, I think would be the best issue who to resolve first. And then from there, I don't really see where the rest of the argument would really be going. I wouldn't say it's the emulation of stereotypes. I would say that it's just part of the person's personality, who it is that he are, and how it is that they go out and live their life. And I think by calling people who's just going out and living their lives as emulating stereotypes within itself is actually trying to say that they should be following the stereotypes that were presupposed upon them from birth. And so I would argue right there that would actually be sexist on its own point of view. And then two, I would say that ultimately, because you're right, we are going based off of a honor based system right now, a merit based system, and ultimately, I'm going to say it's going to come down to the actions of the person and what they're doing. And if they, again, if they're causing harm, if they're doing anything like that, get them out. Like, they should be prosecuted, held responsible. I don't care what their sex is, their gender is. I don't care about any of that. If they're breaking the law, if they're violating a other person, if they're intruding on a person's safety and privacy, that person should be held accountable. But there are no actual data or statistics to say that with trans inclusive legislation that those numbers are going to be statistically higher, but rather it is going to provide a more safe place for women and men to be using safe places because again trans women are women, trans men are men. That's at least my standpoint. Yeah, well, again, that's kind of like where I'm again going to give you a little bit of pushback and say, like, aren't we doing that right now? Because for the last like 100 years or so, like transgender people have been here. We've always been part of history. We've always been using the restrooms of the gender that we are going to be in alignment with. We've been here. It's only been up until about 2015 when all of this stuff kind of like broke out and got really really crazy, and a lot of this big societal and social stigma started coming out and these horror stories and stuff like that. And I think that ultimately again it's going to come down to who again that same merit as what we're already doing. And when we allow people to use the restrooms of the gender identity they are going to be in alignment with, it's ultimately going to result in safety for every single person. And anyone who goes in there to do harm, we're going to know that. We can recognize when a man is trying to pretend to be a woman. In fact, we have people within the. I've had people come up onto my platforms going like, yeah, I identify as a woman. And well, we can catch on to social cues. We can catch on to this stuff and we can easily call that stuff out. That's why you see some people within the transgender community be all like, yeah, no. Because we can recognize social cues, just as cisgender people can recognize social cues. And if there is someone in a place where you're seeing those red flags going up, again, it doesn't matter the sex or the gender you are, that flag is going to be up and we're going to be all like, "Yep, nope, get out of here. You should not be in here. You're doing some weird creepy ass stuff or you did this to me or you are doing something," and that person's going to be held responsible. It's the same exact system we have right now. Um, well, okay. Um, yeah. Okay. Real quick, I do want to keep this a productive dialogue. So what I would kind of say there is again, we already do this on a societal system. I might need to do a little bit more research into the neuro psychology of how we as human beings can do this, so I can give you kind of a scientific backing for this. But I would be able to say that we as human beings, we have the ability to read expressions, where we have the ability to be able to tell when danger is coming, or if there's something that we are going to be worried about. With that being said, I would say that again, the best thing we can do to prevent harmful people from causing harm and appropriating the transgender community or add to their own gains would be to up the punishment for appropriating the transgender community for one's own actions. But this isn't the transgender community's fault. This is going to be bad people. Oh, I know. Um, I'm just getting my own point out there. I'm not attacking anything you said. But what it ultimately is people seeing a minority community, they're being all like, "Oh, these guys are going to be an excellent scapegoat for me," and they're going to go out and take advantage of that. Of which, what the psychology behind that is, I don't know. Like most cisgender men, if they're going to do something bad, they're going to go and do it anyways. Like they're not going to who would go out be he trying to like buy clothes, learn how to do their hair and makeup or anything like that to go into these spaces, but rather they're just going to go in and they're going to who would who would do their predatory actions, and that's pretty much the end of the story right there. And then if they see the transgender community as a scapegoat, they're going to be all like, "Oh yeah, I'm trans," and try and justify it and appropriate the transgender community that way. But problem is that it's a flat out lie, and when they actually go to when people actually investigate that, it's going to be all like, "Yeah, no, this person is not persistent, insistent, consistent in that gender identity. Yeah, no, they just appropriated he minority community. Oh, and by the way, here's a extra 10, 20 years on your sentence for going and doing that." Yeah, no, and it's not so much I'm saying that it's going to be kind of like a development of like some kind of technology or science there. What I'm rather saying is that it's something that we already do as humans. It's something that already happens within our neuropsychology, where we're going to be taking in social cues. We're going to be taking in all of these different actions that a person is going to be doing, and then our brain is going to be registering that and saying, "Okay, this is a red flag here, 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 and here." And so this is where I'm going to make a decision. Do I go in and do I risk it? Do I hold the authorities and get help? Or if there's a group of us here and we're able to pack together, do we get this um, um, person who is giving all these big red flags out? And to be clear, this isn't just going to be based on how a person looks, but rather by, again, what is this person doing? What are their actions? And this is something we already do. That's my point. What I was trying to get at with the science behind this is within my neurobiology. My fascination with neurobiology is being able to explain the exact parts of the brain and how this works, but it's something we already do. I would say the persistence, insistence, and consistence. So it's not so much. Say that again. Yeah, when someone who is transgender, the one qualification to being transgender is to have a gender identity that is incongruent from your sex sign at birth, of which is going to be persistent, insistent, and consistent. This is also known as PIC within psychology, which is where they're going to make that evaluation and be able to designate if someone is going to be transgender or not. With that being said, it's different than gender dysphoria. Gender incongruence is a little bit different. Gender dysphoria is when that incongruence develops into a distress, and that distress is going to be the clinical diagnosis of gender dysphoria, which is going to again be that stress based condition of which we're able to alleviate by helping a person align their primary and or secondary sexual characteristics with their gender identity, of which is going to ultimately help that distress go back down into either a mere incongruence or even any congruence at all. So that's kind of what I'm getting there. Hey, Blue. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, go for it, Angel. Yeah, and I Yeah, and again, I'm a feminist as well. Again, I do come from a more intersectional, radical feminism point of view. That's still something I'm definitely doing more reading on. But kind of ultimately, like, if we were to do it entirely based off of a being male or female spaces, there would still have to be some kind of enforcement around that because again we don't know what is in between a person's legs, and so if we're going to enforce that in some way shape or form, it's going to be very invasive. And then if we're going to do it based off of looks, there's also a lot of cisgender women out there who are going to be a lot more male presenting. In fact, this year alone, we may have had more, so don't quote me on this, but at minimum, I know of four different cases where a cisgender woman has been harassed and accused of being a man or being transgender and that they should not be in these female only spaces. And it resulted in a lot more harassment coming from police or staff or workers at those establishments, and it ultimately harms cisgender women as well. And then even if we were to do that, and even if we were to, let's say, like, we don't exactly enforce it with like someone checking like people's genitals, which I think is still ugh, or just any other thing like that, if someone is going to be looking to do harm, they're going to go in and the harm is still going to get done regardless of those safeguards we put on. And that's why I say having more of a merit based system of which is going to respect people's privacy and safety and not be invasive in any manner, and just probably teach a little bit more social awareness to teach people how to recognize red flags based off of what a person is doing, like if a person is lingering around or if someone appears to be actively looking in between stalled doors or stuff like that. That right there, I think, is something that we all as human beings should be able to recognize and be all like, that's a red flag. This person is doing some naughty shit. this person needs to get kicked out and possibly even go to jail. Like, that right there, I think, is going to be the most pragmatic way of going about this, and also maybe upping um punishments for that, especially if they're trying to appropriate a minority community, of which I think would be a other charge of its own. And I think that right there is going to be probably one of the best pragmatic solutions we can come up with, that again is going to not come with any kind of intrusive measures. Well, even then, oh, yeah, I'll hurry and make this last statement, and then I'll let you speak, Angel. So I would still say that there's a preventative measure to this, because again, men are going to use the men's restroom, women are going to use the woman's restroom, insinuating that their gender identities are going to be in alignment with the male or the female sex. And then even within there, teaching people to recognize red flags and stuff like that. That within itself is going to be a preventative measure, so that when we see some kind of harmful action that is being done or may possibly take place, we're able to recognize that and be able to be all like, okay, this person over here is a little bit out of the normal. This person over here is, let's keep our eye on that. And should this person try and do anything, we can get this person out or anything like that. Of which, again, that's kind of what we've been doing since the beginning. Say that again. Go for it, Angel. Yeah. So, while I'm kind of having some of my own questions right now, so I've put out some of my proposed solutions. I pointed out why doing it purely based on what is in between a person's legs, it would not be appropriate, because again, it's going to, one, be a invasive measure. Two, it's going to eventually it is going to, and it already has, cause even cisgender women to be harassed, and to be he literally questioned about who it is that they are, despite them literally being cisgender females. So I've put out some of my solutions out there. Let's hear some of yours. Yeah, absolutely. Again, being a feminist, that's one of the core issues I think that women face, especially cisgender women. Um, can you word that in a little bit different way, just so that I'm not going to give a bad answer? I would actually argue both. Say that one more time. Trans men who are objectively assigned female at birth, when they start their transition, they do start to benefit from the patriarchy, and they would also be counted as men again in that point of view, and they will start to suffer less and less oppression as they benefit from the patriarchy. I have friends such as Pax, who also talks quite a little bit on this, of which he is also a transgender man. So I would say that right there would be a example based off of their gender identity, and also based off of the patriarchal standards that the patriarchy has also set up. Yeah, so again, that boundary would be the fact that they're going to start being treated more as men, and that is going to be based off of their gender identity, not what their sex is. So if we were to follow your line of logic and say that it's because they're female, you would have to be able to tell me why it is that transgender men would still objectively be oppressed, be seen as baby makers, incubators, stuff like that, based purely off of their sex, and rather not by their gender identity, of which, as they continue to continue with their transition and stuff like that, they are going to objectively be treated more as men. And so, with that being said, that one, yes, whilst affirming to them, it's also going to count against them being females, because again, society is going to be seeing and interacting with them as males. I would say that it's going to be based off of a combination of both. Again, ultimately, what's going to be the um what's going to ensure safety for all people? Again, that's going to be my ultimate standpoint, and I'm still going to say that's based off of gender identity and sex. So I'm again trying to figure out what your solution actually is, because you're still kind of questioning my worldview. I'm trying to see what your solutions are going to actively be, that's going to ensure safety and privacy for all people without discrimination, and without people being um harassed just based off of how it is that they look. And what do you say those boundaries are kind of like how we're operating off right now as a society, or yeah, so again, I don't really get why we aren't taking actual steps and actual solutions that is going to who would be conducive towards this again, such as some of the solutions I brought up earlier, such as better stall doors, better locks, getting rid of the gaps, adding maybe a panic button, stuff like that. Those are going to be things that are also going to be preventative measures and things that is going to ensure safety and privacy for all people, regardless of your gender identity or your sex. And have they taken any of the steps that I've proposed? Yeah, well, it's not just on the provisions. I'm talking about specifically the safety measures that I have proposed. And like right now, I'm seeing this kind of like as a one-sided transaction where it's kind of up to me to come and I'll say the transgender community as a whole to come up with these ideas and these provisions and I'm seeing this really as a one-sided conversation right now, and trying to get anything from your side as to what you think would be possible solutions that would literally, again, include all cisgender women, transgender women, cisgender men, transgender men, and ensure safety and privacy for all of these people. Because again, at the core of this issue it's going to be about safety and privacy. And so I've given you solutions, but as of right now, I'm hearing, yeah, I agree, but still no. So, yeah. And again, this is ultimately going to be about the safety and privacy for all people. I think we share that same goal in mind. Again, the only issue I'm seeing right now is at least with the approach I'm taking, it's going to be implementing preventative measures. It's going to be giving ways that we could actually be addressing this without whole invasive measures where on the opposite side of the aisle they're proposing things that the only way we could actually like legislate and the only way we can actually enforce them is going to be based on invasive measures and based on like discriminatory policies. That's my only big issue with that. So I see one side hate it. We're advocating for something that's going to aim towards a better future, less discrimination, less invasive measures, less um, um, more and better safety and privacy. Well, the other side is going to be, yeah, sure, it's I guess, a solution, quote unquote, but it's going to involve invasive measures. It's going to involve people literally he upholding some kind of a beauty standard, of which is going to also be upholding the patriarchy as to what a man or a woman or male or female should look like, and that right there is also going to cause harm towards women themselves, and this goes for cisgender women especially as well. So that's kind of where I think we're at right now. So I'll let you kind of ponder a little bit on that. Other than that, thank you so much for coming up. Yep. Okay. Bye. All right. Before I bring up our next guest, anything, alrighty. Um, we'll bring up Liberated and, hey, Liberated, how are you? Know what? Kip's funny. I'll take it. I'll take it. I don't care. I don't care about the the ad homs. Yeah, you always try and bring a little bit of razzle dazzle, Liberated, but what you never actually bring is any actual facts. Okay, tell me where Crocodile cooked me. Tell me where Crocodile cooked me. Sophie does bring up a point, but I'm not gonna put out the ad homs. Okay, all good. And then in Yeah, and then while you're going to prove where Crocodile has cooked me, in regards to Nate, I'll say the only place that Nate can actually cook is going to be his pure rhetoric. When it comes to the substance and all that, though, it's every single time going to be misrepresented. It's going to be anti intellectual in some way, shape, or form, to where every single time, and this is why I don't really concede to Nate, is because I know that whenever he puts something out, he's going to be misrepresenting it. And if I don't know the answer to something and he's trying to get me to completely disavow something that I don't know a full story to, yeah, I'm going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to concede to that. What I will do is I will go and do more research afterwards, such as when he brought up Marcy Bowers on the last time. And again, his rhetoric is good. I'll go ahead and say, yeah, he got a W on me that one night. But it was purely rhetorical. It had no fact or evidence to it other than playing a cherry-picked clip of the person who was at the time head of the W path at that time. He also stated that they had no background in transgender healthcare, of which that's a lie right there, right on its face. And because Marcy Bowers, yeah, I don't care if you're being bored. Are you talking about the video Crocodile posted? Yeah, I actually went and watched it. So here, and Crocodile, if you're here, by the way, let's have you up. Let's have you up. He was here earlier. Yeah, again, I already know the video you're talking of. In fact, here, I'll even play it myself. I'll play it myself. Wait, no, don't go. Why you're running? Liberated's running. Again, no facts. Okay. So we are looking for more opposition. Opposition, please feel free to come up. Um Joshy. Joshy again. Let's see how this goes. Hey Joshy, how's your amputated hand working as your foot? Okay, can you tell me what the improvement in quality of life would be right there? What the reasons that would happen, how that would improve someone's quality of life? But that fails to tell me, how does that improve your quality of life? Can give me some scientific or medical consensus on that. Cause again, you don't understand the purpose of science and medicine, which is to improve the quality of life for the patients that they serve. So, what is it today you want to discuss if not that? Okay. No. Here, let's see. I actually have the entire diagnostic manual right here actually. Okay, so gender dysphoria. ICD classification is a sex-based condition. Diagnostic criteria. A marked incongruence between one's experience or expressed gender and or assigned gender of at least 6 months duration, as manifested by at least six of the following. One of which must be criterion A1. A strong desire to be of the opposite gender or a insistence that is other her that one is the other gender or some alternative gender different from one's assigned gender. In boys, assigned gender is smart prevalence. Sorry, the preference for cross dressing or simulation, female attire, or in girls assigned gender, a strong preference for wearing only typical masculine clothing and or strong resistance to wearing of typical female clothing. Three, a strong preference. Hold up, this is for children. That's just going to be. Let's see. Do, 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 do. Yeah, it is a core component. I agree there. Yeah, so the incongruence is going to be the core component. I agree there. So, but again, the dysphoria is literally going to be the distress that arises from that incongruence. That's what that is. That's the point. So, I think we're actually agreeing. Let's see. Hey, Mama. How are you? Ding, 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 ding. It is. I can also say Mhm. Yes. Yeah, not cured, we never said cured. Okay. Sorry, what? But both of what factors? Yeah, none of us said that. No, we can say that the incongruence can be brought down to where it's not something that we're give us a sec. Mhm. Nuh-uh. Mhm. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Um, Joshy, yeah, Joshy, can you define distress for us? No. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, mm, yeah. So, okay. Here. Okay, Josh, here. This is ultimately, and Josh, I hope you're ready for this. So, first off, do you think that all transgender people have to have gender dysphoria? That'd be incorrect, because in order to have gender dysphoria, what do you have to have? Obviously, one is going to be that incongruence, but what along, as you stated yourself, is going to be associated with that incongruence? That would be the distress. Awesome. Now, with that being said, define distress, please. That's circular. Give me a objective definition for what distress means. Wrong. Okay. Distress is going to okay. So distress is going to be he kind of like a internalized pain, kind of like a heightened of mental arousal. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we can go with that. The extreme discomfort. Okay, okay. I'll go ahead and concede there. Okay, go ahead. Okay. So, nope. So give me a sec. So not all transgender people is going to have that extreme discomfort. Okay. So first off, not all transgender people have to have that yeah, they all have to have the incongruence. That's a one necessary condition to be transgender. But not all transgender people are going to have that distress. So with that being said, I actually have right here where again, sure, I can concede that gender dysphoria can never completely be quote unquote cured. But what we can say is that the amount of distress can be resolved enough that it can be reduced enough to where it is no longer experienced. Or, in other words, what Mama said, it can be what's the word you use again, Mama? In remission? Yeah, so it can be put into remission, but that's the same reason why if a transgender person goes like, "Oh, I no longer have gender dysphoria. Yay, I'm cured. I don't need to continue my transition or take my meds." They go off, they try detransitioning and they end up re-transitioning, right? Mama, were you going to say something? Oh, already. Okay, so with that being said, well, I cannot give you a source saying that gender dysphoria can be completely quote unquote cured. I can give you a source that is going to tell you that, and this is going to be me reading directly from the excerpt. PMC ID 126044846. Conclusion. This systematic review provides an in-depth analysis of how GAI affects the mental health and body satisfaction of transgender non-binary individuals. The evidence strongly supports that gender affirmation and interventions improves mental health and body satisfaction by significantly reducing gender dysphoria and alleviating depression and anxiety, thus aligning physical appearance with gender identity and enhancing psychological well-being. However, the review highlights the complex and variable outcomes of gender identity interventions. The long-term effects of gender identity interventions remain unclear, underscoring the need for further longitudinal studies. The review underscores the necessity of the personal approach to transgender healthcare, integrating both medical and psychological support as demanded for gender affirming care. Increased clinicians, research, and policymakers that need to rely on comprehensive evidence that considers the diverse experience of transgender individuals, and so on and so forth. So, with that being there, your claim that we cannot provide is that gender identity cannot be cured. I already conceded on that. But with that being said, it can be significantly reduced, of which again can be put into remission. Yeah, so what are you trying to get at, Josh? What are you trying to get at? again, when it comes to having that incongruence, is that a mental illness or is it dysphoria? The disorder, of which again, saying it's an illness, again, it's not an illness. An illness can be spread. An illness is going to be something, well, sure, okay. But pretty much, again, can you show me where within the DSM-5 or the ICD-11 that's going to say that transgender people are mentally ill? No, I want you to, nope, this is your positive claim now. I want you to show me where exactly it says that being transgender is a mental illness. Wait, I don't want him to pivot from this. I want him to give me a source. No, it is a pivot. I am asking you, provide me where within the DSM-5 and the ICD-11 it's going to say that being transgender is a mental illness. No, they don't. Yeah, again, we literally just went over this. So, in order to have gender dysphoria, they have to both have the incongruence and the distress. That's two main criteria right there. With that being said, not all transgender people are going to have that distress. They're just going to have the incongruence, of which that incongruence, that right there, is not a mental illness. And also, when you call people mentally ill, that right there is implying that they're not able to go out and participate within society. They're not able to think clearly, to that it's going to literally have those kind of outcomes. That's typically what we mean when we say that someone is mentally ill, that they're a threat to society in some way, shape, or form, and that needs to be, yeah. Anyways, exactly. I don't care about your beliefs, Joshy. It's not gonna be all. Yep. Wait. Wait. Okay, so do you know what else is also included in the DSM-5? Funny enough, erectile dysfunction. So does that mean that anyone with erectile dysfunction has a mental illness now? Okay, that's all I needed. Yeah. Mhm. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I think his main point in trying to come up was to try and prove that transgender people have a quote unquote mental illness, of which you can talk with any mental health care provider. You can talk with, like, even within the ICD 11, like, they don't say that transgender people are mentally ill. Because gender incongruence is not a mental illness. It's a stress based condition, a sex based condition. And say that again? Yep, exactly. Like, sure, you may need it, it for medical treatment, depending on the state that you're in, of which I can kind of see why they do that. But again, not a trans medicalist. So again, his entire point is not correct at its claim that transgender people are inherently mentally ill, because that's not correct. Yeah, yeah, and that's why I wanted him to point within the DSM-5 and the ICD-11 where it says that being transgender is a mental illness. Yep. Alrighty. With that being said, we are going to move on. Also, real quick, thank you everyone for being here. Hello to everyone on YouTube. We are currently on TikTok right now having debates and conversations in regards to transgender people, the difference between sex and gender, so on and so forth. Also, we have a secret little Uno reverse card in case any opposition wants to choose that and figure out what that is. That's always a fun topic. But with that being said, if you want in on the conversation, come over here on TikTok to Alyssa Unbothered to have these conversations. Or if you're over on YouTube, please feel free to hang out. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And then for anyone here on TikTok who is not following, please be sure to follow so you can stay up to date on all of my current lives and when I go and panel. For those of you on TikTok, you guys are all amazing. Don't forget to send your daily heart me's, and also please be sure to give your love to my panelists and co-hosts up here. With that being said, hey, LBN, how are you? Doing good. Can I get your age and pronouns, please? Alrighty, awesome. What did you want to discuss? That Uno reverse card, already. Real quick, in order to select the Uno reverse card, are you cisgender, meaning that your gender identity aligns with the sex you were assigned with at birth? Alrighty, and then final question. Are you heterosexual or are you gay? Okay, perfect. Alrighty, so welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, this right here, we are going to be having a major big discussion right now. in asking the age old question, do straight people exist? We have ideas of straight people existing, like we've heard of them, but we haven't ever seen any objective evidence to prove that a straight person, a heterosexual person, actually exists. So right here, up now, we have our guest, LBN, who is here to kind of give us some kind of evidence to prove that straight people actually exist. Like they're kind of like aliens that they could be out there, but we have yet to see any objective evidence. LBN, what is your evidence of straight people existing? No, because there are people who are bi who can have girlfriends. There that would also be a anecdotal experience. We're looking for something objective, so like a scientific study, some kind of objective proof. Okay, do you know what we're referring to when we say straight? Okay, so let me give you the working definition we're going off of which you did pretty good right there. So I would say that a truly and innately heterosexual straight person is someone who's consistently and fundamentally experiences romantic, emotional, sexual, physical, and intellectual attraction exclusively towards individuals of the opposite sex or gender without any form of deviation away from that exclusive attraction throughout their lives. This attraction is not a conscious choice, but rather a intrinsic and unwavering aspect of their sexual orientation. So, are you still thinking that there are straight people out there, or do you think that there's no objective evidence to this? Okay. That's definitely interesting point of view. So it sounds like we've essentially gotten a concession. Now, do you know what the purpose of this topic is? You're all good. So here, let me kind of give you the reason for this. So you remember the name of the prompt when you first picked it, right? The Uno reverse card, right? Okay, so throughout pretty much the entirety of 2S LGBTQI plus history, we've had to prove who it is that we are through objective scientific evidence. In fact, even within the transgender community, I'm literally able to substantiate literally just about every word that comes out of my mouth with a .edu .gov source that is going to be linked to a study, of which usually you can find everything I talk about on PubMed, stuff like that. So whenever we have people coming up here saying, "Oh, trans women are not women, trans men are not men," or there's no such thing as a gay or lesbian person, or it's inherently wrong, or it's a choice. We've had to go and literally proven who it is that we are through that objective evidence. And it's kind of funny because when we turn the same thing back onto a member of the cisgender heterosexual community or straight people, they can't even substantiate their own existence because they automatically think, well, because I'm part of the majority, I am the default. I am how things are supposed to be. But with that being said, they never can actually substantiate that they are who it is that they say that they are. And so it's meant to kind of be a critical thinking exercise to put yourself in the shoes of a transgender or her gay person or any part of the 2S LGBTQI plus community, and kind of like see how it feels to have your own existence some question and invalidated, and needing to substantiate that using objective proof. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Yeah, and if I'm gonna be completely transparent with you here, even if you were to provide some kind of evidence or proof of that, I would have been purposely going in bad faith. Because again, it's the same thing that gender criticals do, that TERFs do, that MAGA Republicans like to do to the transgender community. Is even after we provide them proof, they're going to be taking anti-intellectual routes to try and make their way around this, to say, oh, this is why your study is invalid, such as having let's say if you brought a study up and let's say a straight person wrote the study, I would be all like, oh yeah, that's biased because a straight person wrote the study. When if you're actually going to be intellectually honest about it, people within communities, his or even their own communities, want to see the quality of life go up. It's kind of like saying that a cancer patient who is devoted to scientific research in cancer and trying to find a cure for cancer, if they published that study is now inherently biased because someone within that community helped write this study. And so there's going to be that kind of a outlook to it, or I could have been all like, oh well, the study doesn't actually say this, it has to say this and that in order for it to be true, of which in reality that's not how science and medicine works. And this is what people within the 2s LGBTQI plus community go in and then go through day in day out when we're having these kind of conversations. And so again, I hope it definitely gets you thinking a little bit more. And just like whenever you see gender criticals or turfs or people who hate the 2s LGBTQI plus community, he trying to force us to validate our own existence using scientific studies, and even if we're able to do that, being able to recognize anti-intellectual patterns within that, I think it can definitely help with the understanding and help make this world a little bit better of a place. Yeah. um um okay. Up to the panel. Yeah, I think I see where it is that he's trying to go with this. Oh, you've got a bad echo, mama. Alrighty. Yeah, so thank you for coming up. Thanks for actually engaging in a little bit of intellectual honesty. Some moral engagement also took place right here. Can we get like 20 W's in the chat for LBN, please? Um, L- I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day yourself. Enjoy, like go find something to do. Go treat yourself. Alrighty, take care. Man, what a great conversation. Go ahead, mama. I don't know. Yeah, probably, of which, again, like, that's the entire purpose of the Uno Reverse card. Like, the Uno Reverse card is supposed to help people engage in that kind of thinking. And, like, it's not meant to be used explicitly as a weapon for anyone who's listening who wants to use that. Like, it's not meant to be a weapon. It's supposed to be used as a way to get people to start reflecting on how they treat other communities and if they can even take their own medicine, if they can actually engage in intellectual thought, honesty, and a little bit of moral engagement. And that right there, I think, is at the core of it. And if someone can't even take their own medicine, I think it talks a lot about them. Um, anything any of you guys wanted to add? We are looking for more opposition should he be out there. Also, we are currently, what are we doing at only 5.3K, y'all? What are we doing? Angel, I call you. Oh goodness. Um, I I think I might try and hit a quick reset. Our numbers have dwindled down quite a bit. For anyone who is not already following, please be sure to follow. Don't go anywhere. We are going to be coming back in like less than 30 seconds. So if you like the moment I end the live, it's going to say live ended. It's going to have my account showing. If you press on that, it's going to take you to my homepage. You'll see it. You'll will it be in there, and then just refresh the page and wait for my circle to go bright again with the little red circle around it. It's gonna have a little moving thing on the top. Press on that and it will bring you right back here. So with that being said, I hope to see everyone back here. Mama, Angel, Sophie, please come right back. And then once we're back, let's immediately start sharing this out. Let's start getting the likes going up and hopefully get as much engagement as we possibly can. I can only be on for roughly about a other hour, give or take. So with that being said, I'll see everyone here in about 30 seconds. Welcome back, everybody. If we can get that top left number going up, once it's at 1.5K, I will start bringing up my co-hosts and my friendlies. Meanwhile, I am looking for opposition. Opposition, please feel free to request up. Again, for my co-host, I'll start bringing you guys right up once we've hit the 1.5K marker, and then after that, we'll really get this going. With that being said, hello YouTube, TikTok, Alyssa Unbothered here. I am a trans rights activist and a intersectional radical feminist. Today we are going to be going over trans topics. That's going to include um are trans woman. That would also bring us to like the question, what is a woman? We also would be going over things such as sex and gender are different. If you think they're the same, please request up. Clothes do not determine gender. That one is for anyone. I would love to have a conversation for you right there. And then also the Uno reverse card for any opposition who is cisgender and straight. You're more than welcome to choose that top ad card as your topic. With that being said, welcome everyone who is part of the community. We do have a tendency to school a lot of gender criticals, turfs, MAGA people in here. So, with that being said, please share this out to your friends, your family, your loved ones, and this also is going to include your bigoted aunts, uncles, grandparents, people like that. So please feel free to share this out to them. With that being said, we're going to get the show underway. Um, we do have our first guest requesting up. Got our L back. How are you, Open? Doing good. Alrighty. Can I get your age and pronouns, please? 27 he. Awesome. And how's your Saturday going so far? And Angel? Oh, it's still Friday. What part of the world are you in? Uh Oh goodness. That's good to hear. Alrighty. What did you want to discuss? Alrighty. So tell me why they aren't. Like what I guess this is going to bring us to the question, what is a woman? You still here? Open? Oh, you're back. Welcome back. Okay. So that's going to bring us to the age-old question, what is a woman? Well, I think it very much is because this is coming to the core fundamental of the disagreement. Because the question is why are trans women? You said no, of which that right there is going to be all like, okay, so why aren't they women? Thus, hence, what is a woman? So we actually have a basis for us to work off of. So I'm not really going to let you pivot from that. I need you to give me a definition for what is a woman. That would be a pivot. I'll entertain it. Go for it. I don't really see why my anecdotes have anything to do with this. I do engage with science, medicine, and fact. So if we can keep this in a science, medicine, and fact driven basis, I would definitely appreciate that. Okay. Yeah. Um, let's try and let him finish. Yeah. I don't think it is because there's going to be woman because your exact statement was is that you would have to affirm that if a trans woman or woman you would have to affirm that you would have to include them within your dating pool, right? And so, with that being said, there's going to be women you're going to be excluding regardless, based off of like preferences, what you're into, stuff like that. So I don't really see why including them as a woman would inherently include them within your dating pool, unless if let's say you're just upright transphobic, then that's a something we can work out, and if that's something you can agree with and something you can work on, we can work on that. But with that being said, again, there's going to be people you're going to exclude from your dating pool regardless. No, because this is actually funny. Yeah, here, we'll let him. Okay, give us a sec. Yep, yep. Okay, here. Here, tell you what. Open. So once you finish your statement, go ahead and say, I surrender the floor. But we'll still wait for him to surrender the floor. Let him surrender the floor when he's ready. I'm taking notes. He is skitch galloping, but no, that would not be true. So yeah. So here's the reason. Okay. So trans is a adjective, just as tall, short, white, black, Asian. Those are going to all be adjectives, and the adjectives do not change the noun. Now, with that being said, yes, you can have preferences. Like there are going to be people who's going to exclude tall women from their dating preference, or there's going to be exclusion of um tall men, or a lot of like it goes both ways, but either way the adjective does not change the noun. Now yeah, sure, you can have a genitalia preference and stuff like that, but even then there's going to be post-op transgender women that would by all means and aspects also still be female. So if you have a gender preference and you would, like, let's say I granted that, sure, you don't have to date a pre-op transgender woman. It's a preference. It's going to be something you're going to automatically exclude. Just for instance, how as much as I might be attracted to a trans man, I'm sorry, I have a preference for a phallus. So if there was a trans man that was post-op, yeah, I date them because by all fundamental aspects are going to be a man. They're also going to have my matched genitalia preference, so on and so forth. But if it was just based on the fact that they were trans, or if they were short, if they were white, if they were her any other adjective that you can put in front of the noun, the adjective does not change the noun. So from there, you're doing it just based off of the adjective, of which that right there can be discrimination depending on the reason you're actually doing that. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. I can grant that. Just as I wouldn't want to date anyone who has a vulva. Mama, did you want to get in here? Here, I do wanna hear Mama's, take on this. Okay, real quick. So, wait. Ma Okay, I still want to hear Mama. Mama, please. No one can just identify as being trans. Mama, please go. Hey, Google, be quiet. Okay, Google, stop. Stop. Exactly. Hold up. No. So here, open. I'm gonna be pretty blunt with you right now, okay? So we've actually given you plenty of time to speak. You tend to gish gallop and stuff like that, and then the moment we go to answer you, you then accuse us of talking over you, just as what you literally just try to talking over me right now. So again, make a statement, land your plane, let someone else answer, and then also when we actually have been answering your questions, but the fact is we can't even agree on basic definitions. Thus, hence why at the very beginning I said let's agree on definitions first, and this is the issue when we don't agree on definitions. This is why, again, we were going to originally go down the definition pathway, but then you went like, oh, my premise has to is going to take the other line of logic. I'm like, okay, well, I prefer to establish definitions, but I'll entertain it. But this is now coming to the fundamental reason why we establish definitions first. So you never actually answered Mama's question, of which you literally pivoted away from it, because in order for us to get on the same page, to come to who some kind of logical reasoning and reality, we have to agree on a definition. So if you will please define what you mean by gay, straight, heterosexual, homosexual, gynophilic, and androphilic, that would be fantastic. Okay, Mama, you're next. Okay, so give me a sec. So no, please, everyone, please. Okay. And no, that's a loaded question. So first off, I think you're getting even your understanding of what a transgender woman is. Can you define the term transgender for me, please? Wrong. Nice try. Yep, this is again why we establish definitions. So a transgender person is going to be a person whose gender identity is incongruent from their sex sign at birth, of which is going to have a persistency, insistency, and consistency to that. Someone just waking up one day and being all like, "I feel like I'm a woman," it does not make them a woman. They still need to have a gender identity that is fundamentally incongruent from their sex sign at birth. Transgender people don't just wake up and be all like, I feel like a woman today. I feel like a man the next day, so on and so forth. That's not what it means to be a transgender woman. Yes, I am. So in that case, so this is where I'm going to ask a clarifying question. Did this person just wake up and say, I'm a woman? Okay, so they fully transitioned. Define fully transitioned. Okay, so if they've met that standard, they have the persistency, insistency, and consistency of the sex assigned at birth. Sorry, persistent, insistent, and consistent with a gender identity opposite of the sex they were assigned with at birth. They came out as transgender. They then through and would they be fully transitioned or would they be pre-op? That would be my next question. You know what? Good question. I don't think it does, but it is going to help me clarify how I'm going to answer your question. So yes, please still answer. Okay, so they're pre-op already. And then you identified straight as being man who likes woman. You identified gay as being man who likes man, and then woman who likes woman also for gay, and then for straight would be woman who likes man, correct? Okay, awesome. So right there, I would say that you would be a androphilic straight person. Androphilic means you're attracted to some kind of masculinity. So you would still be straight, but you would have some androphilic tendencies with that. Yep, but you would still be straight because you're attracted to a woman. You literally defined straight as being a man who likes a woman. You are a man who, in that case, would like a woman, but if they had a phallus, that right there would be some kind of androphilic tendency, of which that right there is where I'd be adding that. Go ahead, Mama. Nope. Mama's been waiting to stop. To speak. Please let Mama speak. Nope. Mm-hmm. No, androphilic. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So again, this is also where so right now you're trying to tackle this from a place that's not even addressing the core of the definition, which is what is a woman? So please tell me what is a woman now? You're gonna run? Would you at least Oh, sorry. No. So, yeah, and get okay. Yeah. Yeah, again, we clarified your definitions earlier. Mhm. Yeah, and that's why okay, and that's also why again, when I clarified your definitions earlier, of which I wrote them down, you literally said that to be straight, you have to be a man who likes a woman and or a woman who likes a man. Wait, don't interrupt me, please. So, to be straight, you have to be a man who likes a woman or a woman who likes a man. If you are gay, you're a man who likes a man or a woman who likes a woman. Those are your words, not mine. Now, with that being said, now when we're talking about gynophilic versus androphilic, androphilic means you have a attraction to masculinity. Gynophilic means you have a attraction towards femininity. So if you're a man who likes a woman, of which you literally just stated that this person is going to be a woman, someone who has a gender identity in alignment with the female sex, but they presented more masculine, thus hence you and let's say you had a attraction towards that, you would thus hence be androphilic. So I would still say that in fact you would still be straight because you're a man who likes a woman, but because this person appears to be more masculine, you would be androphilic. Then they were never so from there, I would then say that they never were a woman because again, you would have to be persistent, insistent, and consistent. So now you're turning back on your own definition. So now you would be talking about still being someone who is androphilic, but also you would had a attraction towards a man, you would then be gay. But that's you who moving the goalpost, which is also a logical fallacy. And if you realize, I was still able to answer that because this person would have not been a woman. So with that being said, you don't understand how attraction actually works. And also, I would still argue that you would have some kind of gay tendency. Go ahead, Mama. Mama, go ahead. Mhm. Oh, he's running. Yeah. Yeah. Um, one other thing, again, this is coming to a core fundamental flaw in your line of logic, is you don't even know what a woman is. I actually do. And again, my very first question to you when you came up here is what is a woman? You pivoted, you deviated, did not want to discuss that. Of which now we're to the point where we're literally talking about what is a woman, and you're just saying, oh, because they have this, and that. Of which, again, I still have yet to get a actual definition from you. Thus, hence the confusion that is going on. Because I can give you my definition for what is a woman, and it will literally be consistent. It will include all transgender women, all cisgender women, while excluding all men, and then vice versa for men. But you still have yet to provide me your definition for how you are defining a woman. Of which, if you're going to say that someone who is straight is a man who likes a woman, what is a woman? You still have yet to tell me that. Okay, what is a female? And actually, Mama, I can tell. Mama, do you want to take this? Okay, have fun. Yeah, come on. Okay, wait. Let Mama take this. Anti-intellectualism. You don't even know what a woman is. Uh-huh. Come here, Ren. Mm-hmm. W mamas in the chat. Bunch of W mamas and guest ran. Like, no, he wouldn't. Alrighty. I do need to start getting ready for work. Unfortunately, one of my employees did call out tonight, so yay. Hey, Google, turn off, huff, turn, okay, Google, be quiet. Hey, Google, be quiet. Hey, Google, be quiet, stop. Yeah, okay. This will probably be our last guest for tonight. Hello, guest, how are you? Doing good. Did we talk the other day? Oh, I don't. What? Yeah, TikTok, we don't support that. Hi. So, real quick, can we get your ancient pronouns, please? Okay, awesome. And what did you want to discuss? That's not one of the debate prompts. If you can please choose a prompt, that'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, so what's a woman? Okay, do all women have vaginas? Okay, so it's only based off of what you've seen? Okay, so what happens to those with vaginal agenesis? What happens to those with vaginal agenesis? Yeah, they'd still be considered woman because we don't define, or sorry, female, because we don't define female based off of it having a vagina. Vaginal agenesis? No, I do not have that because that affects cisgender women. Yeah, again, you're not telling me how we're going to identify what is a woman or what is a female. You know what? Yeah, it is. Here, actually, I want to take this a other direction. I want to let him pick my brain and see if he can find a flaw in my line of logic. Do you want to do that? Yeah, by trying to prove my line of logic incorrect. So you can ask me was a woman. Adult human being whose gender identity aligns with the female sex. An adult human being whose gender identity aligns with the female sex. Was a man. Adult human being whose gender identity aligns with the male sex. Yeah, so by that, by my own definition, literally transgender woman would be woman, cisgender woman would be woman, um, trans men would be men, cisgender men would be men. You still have not found a flaw in my line of logic, so you can attack my line of logic. Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, not see what this has to do with my definition. No, because being transgender is not a mental illness, as said by the ICD 11, the World Health Organization. So yeah, give me a sec. Yeah, so give me a sec. Give me a sec. So again, you're not actually attacking my definition. You're straw manning me, meaning that you're trying to bring up a argument that I had not made, and you're trying to knock that down instead. So actually engage with the argument I've given you and stop straw manning. Do you think that someone can just identify with a inanimate object? Can you give me the part of the brain that is going to be responsible for the neuronal processes of a other species that you are not? Yeah, exactly. Because within the human brain, there is no part of the brain that's going to be that of a completely other animal. So that's why that doesn't correspond. Give me a part of the brain that's going to have a processy that is going to be in alignment with a inanimate object. Then that would be psychosis. That wouldn't be gender dysphoria. That'd be psychosis. Yeah, can you give me the part of the brain that's going to do that? No, it's not. So you don't understand how this works. So do you know what gender identity is? Yeah, it's pretty obvious that you don't know. And that's okay. Why that is not your gender identity. That would be your sex. So okay. So Here, so let me get back on track. Wait, exactly. To weed that stuff out. Yeah, I actually already have been able to substantiate the basis for that. So, with that being said, so gender identity, as stated by the American Psychological Association, is going to be a person's. Nope, give me a sec. Is going to be a person's innate sense of self, of which is going to be comprised of their biopsychosocial schema. Bio being in relation to the physical structure of the brain, psycho being how the brain functions and recognizes itself. This is going to have strong parts to do with the motor sensory cortex, the somatosensory cortex, of which are going to literally have functional areas within that. I can also point at the amygdala, the bed nucleus of striatum terminalis as a structural part, and the hypothalamus, of which is going to be where the BNSC and the BSCC is going to be at, along with the INH3, of which within even the hypothalamus, that right there is going to have some connectivity, which would be a structural part of that, of which is going to give a medical substantial evidence to how a person's brain functions and operates. I'm currently citing a study right now, which is where they took cisgender people and transgender people and had them see images of their own bodies that had been either demasculinized to masculinized or feminized. It happened on a scale. When comparing that of a transgender woman to cisgender men, how the brain actually functioned was going to be opposite of when they was looking at their bodies that was in alignment with their birth assigned sex. But when looking at bodies of their bodies being more in alignment with their gender identities for cisgender men who looked at bodies that were more in alignment with or more masculinized for them, their brain functioned more in alignment with that. Opposite happened with transgender women when looking at their bodies being hypermasculinized. But when their body was feminized, the brain actually resembled that more in alignment with their gender identity, which would be a which would be a functional aspect to that. Say what? Oh, that's fine. Now, if we're talking about structural aspects of the brain, we already have mega analytic findings of which is going to prove that transgender people do have a unique brain phenotype compared to that of their cisgender individuals, giving a biological basis for that. That's going to include parts of the central gyrus, the preapicitural gyrus, along with the inferior gyrus. We can also point at the amygdala. All of that is going to have a unique brain phenotype to them. And that right there comes from a mega analytic findings. So, right there, that is how I'm able to substantiate that. And also, when we're talking about gender identity, it is going to be persistent, insistent, and consistent, meaning that it is not something that needs to be taught. It is not something that is going to really ever going to go away because it's innate. And so that is where that's going to be. So no, no one can just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm a woman," or "Oh, I'm a man," or "Oh, I'm a chair," or "Oh, I'm a other species." You're not going to be able to give me a part of the brain that is going to be responsible for that kind of processing. But I can actually give you parts of the brain responsible for the processing of how transgender people's gender identities and their brains work. You can respond. I literally just gave them to you. Were you not paying attention? Here, know what? Can you do me a favor and just keep talking? Like, just put out whatever you want into the world, and we'll see how that goes. Keep going. Is that it? Yeah, nah. Okay, I think yeah, so again, you weren't able to pry open my line of logic. So, yeah, of which again, that's going to be scientifically inaccurate. Again, Mama, beforehand, she brought. We can actually like bring up medical journals that's going to directly state that sex is a multidimensional construct that refers to a person's biological status based on a cluster of anatomical and physiological traits. That is going to include their external genitalia, their secondary sexual characteristics, their anatomical gonadal sex, their chromosomes, and their hormones. Of which, by that definition, it would absolutely include transgender woman, of which is also actively put into practice within medical fields today. So, quite frankly, I don't care about what you think. I care about what facts and science says. Transgender people are in every part of the world. What? Yeah, so yeah, yeah. Okay, so that got really off topic. So again, point being, you were unable to poke a flaw in my line of logic. I was also able to back everything I said up with scientific and medical stuff. So again, you haven't really proven anything. You haven't proven that transgender women are not women. In fact, by my claim, transgender women are in fact women. And even if we're going down a bioessentialist point of view, you would still have to concede that some transgender women are women. Okay. I wouldn't call yourself any of those things. I'm not gonna validate any of that, but I will say do more research, actually engage in a little bit more critical thinking. I don't think we're really going to get anywhere further with you. Anything else we can do, Hua? But why to selfie? Yeah. Well, anyways, we weren't going to get anywhere there. Guess thanks for coming up, but big L's. I hope everyone's having a great day so far. I am down to my last 10 minutes of the live. Um let's see if we can, if we get one last guess up, we'd literally have to speed run that. And everyone, thank you so much for being here. I hope you all have had a great Saturday so far. I should probably hurry and check my work phone. So yeah, anyways, we are looking for one final opposition for the night. If not, we'll probably go ahead and end this here. I am going to open this up to the panel for us to talk about whatever we want to, kind of our debrief part. How's your guys' days been? Yay! I know that was giving you issues earlier. Ugh. Yay! That makes me so happy to hear. Also, for everyone who's still here, huge W's to Jay, Nervous, the It, Abs, Angel, everyone who is gifted. Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate the love and support. And yeah, um, Eleanor said they had Chinese. They're so happy. I love Chinese food. What kind of Chinese food did he have though? Was it like dim sum? Was it like stir fry? Yeah. Oh, Angel. Angel? Hoo, hoo, hoo. Hoo, hoo. Wait, Angel, you lost a freaking. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Jay. What? We love your owl. There it is. Our trans owl right here. This is like our mascot down here. Alrighty. I think I'm gonna go ahead and bring this stream to an end. Thank you, everyone who was here. Everyone who was watching on YouTube. Thanks for being here as well. Everyone here on TikTok. You guys are all absolutely amazing. If you're not following me already, please be sure to follow, and please also be sure to follow my co-hosts as well, Mama Corrupt, Angel, and Sophie. They definitely deserve all the love and support that you guys can possibly give. With that being said, please. Oh, ooh, yummy. Okay, so with that being said, um, thank you all for being here. Keep engaging in critical thought. Keep thinking critically. Um, I'm going in circles now. um, keep working to make this world a better place. Facts over feelings, and just keep at it. For those of you who would like to join my Discord, which is where I have literally all of my studies and everything I go through, along with a area for everyone to engage and create community, please feel free to message me. I will send you out links to that. With that being said, any last messages for anyone else on the panel? Alrighty. Well, with that being said, I hope we all have a fantastic day. Woo, woo, woo. Anything for you, Sophie? Alrighty. Well, any last questions for anyone in the chat? You are S4. I see you in the request box. I am getting ready to end the live. I do need to get ready to go to work. Please feel free to follow, and next time I go live, we'll more than happily have you up. Um, with that being said, everyone have a good night. Okay, great live today.